Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Hyperconscious Podcast. Alan, what is hyperconscious?
Once you understand why something is the way that it is, now you have the power to change it. Great conversations with great people and great questions are the keys to the kingdom of unlocking your consciousness.
Every single action that you do starts as a thought. When you control the way you think, you will control the way you act, and you will control the way you live. That is hyperconscious. Ladies and gentlemen, the Hyperconscious Podcast is proudly sponsored by our friend and mentor, David Meltzer of the Playbook Podcast. He was kind enough to join us on episode 144 and 135.
Folks, it has become Kevin and I's mission in life to help you realize that the life of your dreams is right on the other side of you becoming the greatest version of yourself. Let us help you do that.
I rarely do these things twice in such a short amount of time, but you guys impress me. I believe in people that provide value and of our service. You two guys are on your way to huge fulfillment, purpose, and profitability, and I'm looking forward to helping you both.
We appreciate that more than you know. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of the Hyperconscious Podcast. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode where Alan and I sat down and talked all about goal setting, how to do it, and why you should too. Today, for episode number 245, we are going to do a Scratching the Surface episode on your circle and why it determines your success.
Also, a little prequel here. I will be doing a dramatic reading from The Compound Effect. Thank you, Darren, for writing the best book, I believe, of all time. And it's going to be on how to get mentors and extend your circle. So not only will we talk about this, but we'll give you the tools you need to actually execute on it. But before we jump into this episode, I want you to go to the hyperconsciouspodcast.com.
Yeah.
Click on join, hashtag hyperconsciousnation. Folks, that is literally going to extend your circle, which is going to determine your ultimate success. So join that group, meow.
Meow. Speaking of meow, Alan and... You said meow.
I did.
And then I said it weirder than you did.
Oh, for sure.
Alan and I love giving speeches. If you are looking for somebody to come speak and inspire and motivate your audience, not only for a day, but for a lifetime, we would love to be those people and help your audience become hyper-conscious.
Okay, so you wanted to do Your Circle Determines Your Success.
Yes.
And you wanted to tell a story that I think is super powerful.
Sure.
Would you like to start with that?
You said, $1 in the jar.
$1 in the jar.
Yes. So imagine this. Picture this. 23-year-old Kevin. No, not 23. We'll say 19-year-old Kevin is working at Helen's Fuels, a gas station in Uxbridge, Massachusetts. Picture this. You drive down through the pumps and you say, "Hey, Kev, what's happening, brother?" And I say, "Hey, what's up?" And you say, "Can you get me a job?" Imagine what kind of job I can get you. And again, this is nothing against the gas station attendant. I was that person for a long time. But if you ask that person to get you a job, realistically, they would probably ask their manager to get you a position as a gas attendant. And this is why your circle is so incredibly important. Not only are they influencing you, but they are also providing you with the opportunity at the level they were at. So imagine that, Kevin, 19-year-old Kevin, right? Picture that versus going to your CEO friend and saying, "Hey, Bob, I'm looking for a client who wants to start a podcast." Imagine the possibilities that Bob can hook you up with. Imagine the people in Bob's circle, probably other CEOs, other business owners, people that have money that want to spend it on this podcast. Your circle not only influences you, but it provides you with opportunities. And I think that another quote that I butchered that story, I know. Another quote that I'm really trying to live by is, are the people in your life the best from your past or the best for your future?
You posted that recently.
Yes.
That is really powerful. A lot of people shared and liked that on the Facebook.
I think it's a tough thing. It's very hard to separate yourself from people in your life, especially since they don't know why you're doing it.
And all this is predicated on how clear you are on what you want your future to be. Like, think about the question you just asked. Are the people in your life what's best for your past, or are they what's best for your future? How do you know how to answer that if you don't know what you want for your future?
Yeah.
So you need to have goals and dreams and then figure out the persons, places, things, and ideas that are going to help you do that. So you mentioned recently how the other thing is you had to ask. So let's say I went up to 19-year-old Kevin and I said, hey, Kevin, can I get a job? You're only going to be able to hook me up with a couple jobs maybe.
Right.
And
probably, I would say like at the level I'm at or maybe one or two higher.
Right.
I think that's a pretty good way of putting it.
When I was 20, I was at WPI, electrical and computer engineer, and I remember asking my Aunt Jane, who worked at iRobot, if she knew of any jobs. And she got me an internship on a global product management team. One of my original mentors, Jerry Caron, I remember he taught me so much. And now I actually was at dinner last night with who was at the time the chief operations officer of iRobot. Technically, he was basically acting as the CEO, but the founder wanted to stay CEO. It was a whole thing. But basically, he was the one running the company. So he was basically the CEO of iRobot. And my aunt and I and Jeff were at dinner last night for like 4 hours, and I got to ask literally the CEO of several technology companies. He was the CEO of Astrodyne for the last few years and is not now. Now he's on the board of several companies. But I got to ask him a bunch of questions about business. And so your circle determining your success, I can tell you wholeheartedly. As a matter of fact, I've had mentors in my life offer me jobs that are extraordinarily lucrative that would have helped me tremendously in some of the tough financial situations I was at the beginning of this journey. It really is true. You not only are you influenced by your circle tremendously, basically every day, but the opportunities that can present themselves when you ask for help are going to be 10 times more lucrative and bigger opportunities if you're asking someone who is farther along in the journey.
Yeah, and I think that I just want to go back to the fact that it's very easy to hang out with the people that you used to hang out with because you used to feel good.
Right.
And if the people in your life aren't serving you, then it's going to be harder for you to serve what you're trying to serve.
Dude, I feel really compelled to say this. I want to write a book, and I asked for help the other night. I remember I was in the shower, and I was thinking, I was like, why haven't I texted Brant about him helping me with his book, with my book? I had a call with him on Saturday, and he is going to help me now and potentially hook me up with some really A players in that arena. But it was only because I had that network and because we were at his place in Cali. This might be one of the most important topics we've ever done. Like, honestly.
It really is everything. So just a behind the scenes, we're doing an event sometime in January.
Yes.
We don't know right now. But if you asked us to do an event 1 year ago versus now, the speakers that we would have in our minds would be far different. Now we're reaching out to various people because we think they'll come.
Right.
That the event, the way the event goes, a lot of it, not all of it, but a lot of it depends on your circle.
As our circle gets larger,
everything does.
Everything does.
The possibilities get larger.
That should be one of your memes. As your circle gets larger, everything does.
Don't know, and nobody better steal that. No, if somebody creates them, feel free to hammer it. Yeah, I think it's one of the things that people don't talk about when they talk about network, or maybe it's something that I never focused on. But I never realized that everybody seems to know everybody at this level.
It's crazy. It is crazy.
And it's probably similar to you if you're listening to this, like, who knows what could happen if you reached out on Instagram to somebody and made a connection with somebody who's big in the makeup industry or the fashion industry or the YouTube vlogs, whatever. Who knows what could possibly come of that in time? Maybe it most likely won't happen right away because you have to add value and the person wants to make sure that your missions are congruent and you have the same or similar core values. But greater than anything almost, I know we did an episode on fear chasing and I said that was one of the biggest things for me, but the circle is right up there.
Yeah, this is one of the fundamentals that is a must.
How do you Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to ask you a question, but if you want to ask me.
I was going to say, how do you grow your circle? How do you grow the quality of your circle?
I think it starts with you. So you will only ever be able to attract and sustain relationships with people at your level or who see your trajectory getting to their level. So let me give you an example. So if you are growing as an individual, a lot of mentors are aware of your current trajectory. So what are some good indicators of that? You got to check your own calendar. You got to check where you're spending your money. You can say you're growth oriented, but are you spending time in the gym? Are you spending time reading books? Are you spending time going to seminars and networking? Are you spending time listening to podcasts? So that's your calendar, okay? Check where you're spending your time. The second thing is, where are you spending your money? You can say you're growth oriented, but do you have gym memberships? Have you been spending money more on the bar than you have on books, right? So it starts with you. When you grow yourself, now your circle can grow. And it has to be that way because, I mean, think about it. Like, even me personally, a lot of my friends who maybe aren't as into personal development and maybe don't have as big of goals and dreams, it is more difficult for me to spend time with them. I still enjoy them. I still will always be friends with them, but I don't hang out with them as much on a consistent basis because we don't have as much in common. They don't have as big of ambitions. And so therefore, I mean, I spent 4 hours at a dinner last night because I'm trying to learn business and to grow everything we're doing. I could have invested that 4 hours everywhere. I was actually with Emilia yesterday, and I said this. I said, what people don't realize is that every time you say yes to one thing, you're actually saying no to 10,000 others. And so if you want to grow your circle, be very careful of who you're saying yes to. And I'm not trying to be mean here, but I'm saying be discerning. You only get one life. Make sure the persons, places, things, and ideas that you're putting in your circle are going to help you grow your circle. And that's also predicated on them growing you. So that's one way to look at it. One thing I wanted to ask
Another dollar in the jar.
Did I say
Mm-hmm.
No, now I have to put another dollar in.
No, that doesn't count.
So one thing I wanted to ask you was, if someone's out there right now and they're like, okay, this is a bottleneck for me. Like, I need to grow my circle and I need to grow myself. Let's connect this with something tangible. So what is something where if you didn't grow your circle, you wouldn't have had an opportunity?
Podcasting.
Right.
Our circle is the fact that when we went to California, we were able to message 6 people and they all said yes to shows in person at their places.
I know.
You guys haven't seen Dr. Nikki Starr's episode yet. That'll be coming out very shortly, probably this week.
On the beach in Malibu. Gorgeous,
Literally
gorgeous.
A 3-story home right on the beach in Malibu. She invited 2 grown men into her house because she trusts us because we have that connection. She's in our network. She's in our circle. And everything. The possibilities. Mark Metry's going to be speaking at our event in January.
I know.
You know how many people want Mark Metry to speak?
I know.
A lot. I
think that's also a testament to our character, though.
I agree.
Like, think about it this way. All of those people were willing to go out of their way for us. I think it has to do with who we are and what we're doing as well.
Well, your character probably determines the quality of your circle.
Yeah.
Right?
Because you attract what you are.
And imagine this. This is a whole other thing. We're talking about the positives of a high-quality circle. Your circle determines your success in the other way, too. If you come up with a great idea and your circle is full of people who have very limited scarcity mindsets, they might tell you your idea is terrible. And you might have your success or lack thereof determined by your circle, too.
Yeah.
And that's scary. That's why it's so important to make sure that maybe the people in your circle don't necessarily want exactly what you want. Maybe they don't want the same results. Maybe they don't want to have a successful podcast, but maybe they want something else. Maybe they want their own business, or maybe they're practicing the same success fundamentals and principles. But it's unbelievably important that the people in your circle believe in you. Because say 4 out of your 5 friends didn't believe in you.
Yeah, and you're already doubting yourself.
You're probably not going to follow through, and then you're going to regret that forever.
You're doing podcast coaching now.
Yes.
I remember when you first came to me with that idea, I was like, yes, that's awesome. You should do that. That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Most people, if you had gone and asked, 10 random people on the street, how many people would be like, wait, what? Why would you do that? And then they'd give you all the reasons why it won't work. You got to be real careful. And here's the darker side. We like to pull back the curtain here. Let's just talk truth.
Oh, here we go.
If someone's not ambitious, there's almost no chance they're going to understand you and believe in you. Okay, let me ask you this, because I don't want to just go off the rails here.
Yeah, I
was so
buckling my
passionate about this. I've always been incredibly ambitious. Now, whether or not I was actually consistently executing against that is a different story, but I've always felt a little weird, and now I'm starting to learn that I'm not actually that weird. There's a lot of people like this, and it's just wonderful. So as my circle gets more and more ambitious, and I increase my character and integrity and work on myself, things are really happening to where I don't feel so weird anymore, which is wonderful. So for you, Kev, where do you think ambition falls under this? Because I would argue that 19-year-old Kevin at the gas station, maybe you were ambitious, I don't know, but like the common denominator amongst your network and the amount of opportunities that they can present you in growth, it does seem like ambition is a really, really important thing. Can you go into your thoughts on some of that?
Can you give me the actual definition of ambition?
Yes.
Because my thing here is most circles have a similar goal in mind. Like let's do that. Let's be real. If you grew up with your college friends and your goal was to go out to the bar,
right? That was your ambition.
That was your ambition. If your goal was to go to the gym, that was your ambition. If your goal was to play Dungeons and Dragons, that was your ambition.
This will be powerful. Kevin wants to have the most successful podcast ever. We want to have the most successful podcast ever. Okay. Let's just start naming people you never would have met.
Mark Metry.
Okay. That one ambition. Okay, think about this. One ambition is we want to be the most successful podcasters to ever live.
You ready?
That's one ambition.
Let's
just name people we never would have met.
Mark Metry.
Yep.
Dave Meltzer,
yep.
Brant Pinvidic,
yep.
Nikki Starr,
yep.
Kim and Spike Spencer,
yep.
Summer Scalero,
yep.
Anthony Trucks.
Yep.
Everybody we've had on the podcast.
Sydney Nanberg, everyone we've had, Joanna.
Everyone we've had, every single person you've seen on the podcast.
Okay, now, I want you to imagine this.
Like, you wouldn't be listening to this either. This wouldn't exist.
Right.
That's a whole other thing.
Everything is a byproduct of ambition. And here, we give ambition a bad rep just because some people are shitty and greedy. Okay, let's say you want to, we would never have met Terrence, okay? You never would have met Terrence.
Right.
Let's say you want to be a podcast coach. Terrence reached out to you and said, hey, I have someone for you as a potential client. That would never have happened if you didn't have the ambition to be a successful podcaster.
Yeah.
So I found the definition, but what I want to make clear to all of you, you had your quote at the beginning, which was basically, what was it again?
I say a lot of quotes.
You say a lot of quotes?
Which one was it?
I'm going to come up.
The people in your past?
Yes, that one.
Are you spending time with the people that are the best from your future, from your past, or the best for your future? From your past for your future.
Your circle can only ever grow to the extent of your ambition.
I like that.
And, oh, wow. I just had another breakthrough. It will not just grow to the level of your ambition, it'll actually shrink to the level of your character. Interesting.
I don't know about that second one.
Well, it depends what you're gauging it on.
Oh, okay. If we're gauging on our character. I was literally, as you were saying that, there are some circles that we have been welcomed into that I don't want to be in.
Seriously, though.
So we're not going to be.
True. So let's say you want to write a book.
Eventually.
Now you have literally 5 people you could call right now that could help you write a book.
Yeah.
Whereas 2-3 years ago, let's say you want to write a book. What do you do?
Oh, don't do it. Most likely.
Well, you tell your friends about it, and then they say it's a horrible idea.
I probably wouldn't have told my friends about it. I would have said, "Oh, that would be cool."
What makes you think you could write a book?
Imagine what that would be like.
Isn't it crazy, man?
The problem is, and this is why I love talking about stuff that we're going through and we're learning together and we're having hyper-conscious breakthroughs on the podcast, because it would be very easy for people to say, like, well, you guys just know a lot of people. We didn't 2 years ago.
I know.
The only reason we know the people we knew is because we were genuinely interested. The only reason we hang out with the people, like, think about how many people we've had on the show that we don't talk to anymore.
I know.
Maybe they're not in alignment with the goals we want. It doesn't make them bad people, or maybe they're too busy for us. That's
also
definitely
true.
a possibility.
Chris and Lori.
Right. There's
if
a
you
lot
guys
of,
have a free moment, be sure to reach back
We'd
out.
love to interview you again.
Right.
But realize that too, that it's your own responsibility to build your circle.
That's fire.
And that's the painful thing. And like, I feel a lot of times where I got lucky because you've known a lot of people and you're really good at networking. So I've learned a lot.
Oh, thank you, brother.
So I do want to make that clear. I was never.
But you attracted me, though.
I know.
So you grew me.
But sometimes I do feel like I do have certain cheat codes that other people don't. Maybe yet. They might not have them yet.
But if you weren't able to have the character that I valued, then you wouldn't have been able to.
That's true.
I know what you're saying. So I helped you grow your circle,
For sure.
but you also got in mine.
For sure.
And that's on,
Yeah.
that's-
But at the end of the day, I want people to realize that it is, at the end of the day, it's your job and your responsibility to grow your circle in accordance to your ambition, your goals, is in accordance and in specificity. That's a tough word.
Here's the problem. They don't know what they're leaving on the table. Like, none of us do. I didn't either.
Right.
Because
It's a whole
let's say
different
we
world.
talked to us 3 years ago,
Right.
we wouldn't have been able to anticipate that I could call Brant and talk about,
Well, you can't.
how do I get a book deal,
You
man?
can't anticipate that.
And then he said, first of all, this is what you need. Yeah, you can't.
So what's it like? Let's talk openly about what it. I think we forget too. Like I told
know.
you this. I posted something today on Instagram, and Mark Metry messaged me and said, "Yo, put that on LinkedIn now."
Right.
And at one point, he was a dream guest, and now he's our boy. We work out with him. I rap with him.
I know. I remember us talking about how we need a podcast mentor. That was so long ago. Yeah.
And I think that sometimes we probably forget that at one point that was. I have something in my eye. At one point, that was such a stretch, and now it's something that we have the pleasure of getting to do every single week. We get to hang out with Mark.
I know.
So it's almost like.
Shout out to Mark, by the way. Killing it.
Oh, he is absolutely killing
it.
Absolutely killing it. Imagine
Big heart on him.
if you're watching this, if you're listening to this, imagine thinking to a time before you knew something that you know now as such a game changer. Like, think about before you started driving and you used to have to get rides places.
Oh, dude.
And now how you literally get into your car, you don't even think about the fact that you can just go wherever you want.
Right.
Sometimes you probably take it for granted.
For sure.
Right? The law of familiarity has well crept in. And sometimes it can be like that when it's like, oh my goodness, I got to get up early tomorrow. We're going to the gym with Mark at 8. You know, sometimes that happens.
Right.
Where it's like, oh, tomorrow's going to be a real long day. Yeah, deal with it, man, because that's what you wanted. And I'm talking to myself.
Yeah.
But imagine that. Imagine your life when you were 16 years old and you were like, I cannot wait to get my permit. I'm going to leave all this behind. I'll be able to go to the pizza shop whenever I want. Be able to go to the mall whenever I want. Now you're driving all the time and you forgot how
awesome that is.
How awesome that is and how weird it was before. I think that's kind of what it is now.
Very much.
And I think it's kind of what it is now, and that's why this is the second slide on the presentation I did at Mass Maritime. This is the second slide. Your circle determines your empire, is what I said. Not only because of the influence, but because of the possibilities. And because the possibilities are endless as you grow. Because not only are you able to attract different people into your circle, but you're able to create a circle of people that you attract.
Yeah.
Our team, Amy, Tiff.
I know.
Kim, Spike, and Summer are in our mastermind now. Those are friends for life.
I know.
We attracted them into our circle. So it's truly incredible what can happen if you chase your dreams and you try to find people who are chasing theirs and you grab them, or they grab you and you guys hang on. You build this giant team of people who are trying to change the world in their own specific way, and you're far more likely to succeed when you have strength in numbers.
And then you can help them grow their circle.
Dollar.
Oh, I said again.
3
My bad.
times.
I know. It's been too many.
Is it bothering
Remember
you
when-
that- is it bothering you that I keep saying it?
No, it doesn't bother. We're good. We're going to make
Just
it work.
making sure.
So Tori reached out and said, hey, do you know of anyone who's successfully created an online training program? And then we were able to introduce her to Summer and Kim. So you can only help others with their circle to the extent that yours has grown. Breakthroughs.
It's interesting. It's everything. Do your dramatic reading. We've got 3 minutes left.
I also was supposed to define ambition.
Oh, yeah, quickly.
So, an earnest desire for some type of achievement or distinction as power, honor, fame, or wealth, and the willingness to strive for its attainment.
Okay. My point stands.
Did when I used the word ambition, did that never land before that?
No, it landed.
It's one of my favorite words in the entire world.
I think, like you said, it might have a negative connotation at times.
Oh, not for me.
I was trying to make the point that if you're desiring for something, you have an ambition towards it.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
When we were at TMF, there was a woman who said, like,
Are you too ambitious?
Are you too ambitious? And I said, no, that's my favorite part of myself. Okay, here we go. Dramatic reading time. The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. All right, invest in mentorship. Again, just for context, I was at a dinner for 4 hours with a mentor of mine. I learned more in those 4 hours than weeks and weeks and months at school, okay? Mentors are everything. Make sure their micro, their day-to-day, is your desired macro. In other words, their day-to-day is your dream, okay? Or some portion of it. Invest in mentorship. Paul J. Myers is another man who served as a mentor to me. Paul passed away in 2009 at age 81. Whenever I thought I was really doing things, really playing at a high level, I'd get around Paul. He was my reality check. What he did before lunch was mind-boggling to me. I got to spend a lot of time with him. Paul bought one of my companies, and then I did a turnaround for one of his companies. He was a very powerful spirit in my life. After spending a couple of hours with Paul, hearing about all his plans and ventures and activities, my head would spin. Just trying to make sense of all he had going on exhausted me. After time with Paul, I'd want to go take a nap. Been there.
Oh, yeah.
But my association with him raised my game. His walking pace was my running pace. It expanded my ideas about how big I could play and how ambitious I could be. Ambitious. You have to get around people like that. You're never too good for a mentor. During my interview with Harvey McKay, he told me, I have had 20 coaches, if you can believe it. I have a speech coach, I have a writing coach, I have a humor coach, I've got a language coach, and on and on. I have always found it interesting that the most successful people, the truly top performers, are the ones willing to hire and pay the best coaches and trainers there are. It pays to invest in your improved performance. At dinner last night, I said a quote that I think is super powerful. If you gave me 6 hours to chop down a tree, this is Abraham Lincoln, I'm going to spend 4 hours sharpening the axe. Is your circle helping you sharpen the axe? Are you growing in it? Or is it a dead zone?
My goodness. And just to reiterate the horrible story that I told at the beginning, that was basically about opportunity. 19-year-old Kevin working at the gas station could probably get you a job as a gas station attendant, maybe 1 level, maybe 2 levels higher, but probably not. If your friends, if you have CEOs, if you have successful business people in your inner circle, imagine the opportunities that they can present to you and those around you. That was the point I was trying to make. I just had to get warmed up before I could say it.
10-second blip?
10-second blip. I would literally say your circle determines your empire. You will only grow to the level of your circle.
Right. Strong work.
That's what I would say.
Strong work.
What do you want to do? You want to drop Dr. Nikki Starr next?
Yeah.
Live from Malibu?
We should, since we just plugged it.
Ladies and gentlemen, we hope you enjoyed this. Up next, you are going to see Alan and myself sit down in person with Dr. Nikki Starr.
Oh, yeah?
At her Malibu beach home. We talked about relationships. We talked about manifestation. We talked about habits. It was a fire episode, and it was amazing.
She is the most hyper-conscious. I just want to say real quick, that was the first time Kevin ever swam in the Pacific Ocean, and I'm proud of you, man, because you weren't afraid of the sharks.
I was terrified of the sharks, and the waves almost deaded us.
You will enjoy that episode very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will talk to you on Sunday.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.